Chosen one, pause everything and lock your attention on these words right now, that restless feeling you have been carrying, the one whispering that something is about to break open. Stop ignoring it. What is approaching will not send you a notification. There will be no countdown, no dramatic announcement, no celestial fireworks. It will simply appear. And when it does, your entire reality shifts in a single breath. The enemy has been working around the clock for one specific reason. He sees what is about to walk through your door, and he knows he cannot block it. So instead, he is trying to block you. He is keeping you distracted, drained, and second-guessing yourself just long enough to make you miss the exact moment when it arrives. But you will not miss it. Not this time. Let me tell you something that is going to sound impossible until you realize it is already happening. Right now, while you are reading these words, the thing you have been praying for is already in motion. Not approaching, not on its way, already in motion. The gears are turning, the doors are opening. The obstacles that looked immovable 3 days ago are already being removed by hands you cannot see. And the only thing standing between you and the full manifestation of what has already been released is one simple shift. You need to stop living like you are still waiting and start living like you are already receiving. I know that sounds like spiritual jargon. I know you have heard people say things like that before, and then nothing changed. But this is different. This is a prophetic download that is going to explain exactly why the last 72 hours felt the way they did, why that specific situation unfolded the way it unfolded, and why the restraint you showed in that moment was not weakness, but the most strategic move you could have possibly made. By the end of this message, you will see that moment completely differently. Everything ends this week. The waiting that stretched so long it started feeling like your permanent address. The wondering if you heard correctly, the silence that became so familiar you almost stopped, expecting it to break. But listen closely. It is not ending because of timing or coincidence. It is ending because of what you already did, because of the prayers you whispered when no one was listening. Because of the ground you held when every instinct screamed to abandon it. Remember that moment earlier this week when you almost lost it. When something came at you sideways and every fiber of your being wanted to react, to defend, to set the record straight. Maybe it was a conversation that went left. Maybe it was a message you received that hit you wrong. Maybe it was a situation at work or at home that made you feel disrespected or overlooked. And in that moment, you had a choice. You could respond the way the old version of you would have responded. You could match energy for energy. But something stopped you. You stayed silent. You walked away. You released it. You thought that silence made you weak. You thought you lost something in that moment. But I need you to understand this, and I need you to hear it at the deepest level of your spirit. That silence was not surrender. That was a strategic weapon. That moment of restraint was not you losing ground. That was you signing the final decree. That was the act that sealed the enemy's eviction from your situation. You did not mess anything up. You completed everything. You did not stumble onto this message by random chance. God did. This is a divine appointment scheduled before time began, and you are here at precisely the right second, for precisely the right reason. Do not scroll past this. Do not let this play in the background while your mind wanders elsewhere. Your future self is begging you to be fully present, because if you disconnect now, you will walk away before the verdict over your life is read. If this is already speaking to something deep inside you, something you have not been able to name, hit that like button right now. Not for me, but as a marker in time, as a way of telling yourself, I was here when the shift happened. Let that simple action be your way of saying yes to what God is doing in this exact moment. Because when you engage, when you participate, you are not just consuming content. You are activating something in the spiritual realm. What I am about to show you in the next several minutes will completely reframe everything that has happened to you in the last month. I am going to reveal the exact moment when you unknowingly activated your breakthrough without realizing it. I am going to show you why the delay was not a denial, and by the end, I am going to give you the declaration that locks this door shut. So nothing the enemy attempts can reverse what God has already set in motion. But you have to stay until the final word. I know exactly what the last 72 hours have felt like. The air around you has not just been quiet. It has been thick, like atmospheric pressure bearing down on you that you cannot explain and cannot shake off, like the eerie calm before something massive breaks loose. You have been moving through your days feeling like you are operating in slow motion while everyone else flows in normal time. Conversations feel muffled. Tasks that normally take you 10 minutes are suddenly taking an hour. Or maybe you jolted awake at 2 or 3 in the morning and just laid there in the dark, pulse racing with a feeling you could not identify but could not escape. Not anxiety, exactly. Not fear, but something, a knowing, an awareness. A sense that something is shifting in the unseen realm and your spirit is picking up on it before your mind can process it. You are not imagining this, you are in the gap, the sacred space between the promise and the manifestation. You feel suspended, like you are standing in a gap between the life you had and the life you were promised. And from where you are standing, you cannot see either side. The old life is behind you, and you cannot go back to it, even if you wanted to. The doors that used to be open are now closed. The relationships that used to make sense do not fit anymore. The version of yourself that used to tolerate certain things cannot tolerate them anymore. You have outgrown that life, but the new life has not fully materialized yet. You can sense it, you can feel it, but you cannot touch it yet. And that gap, that in-between space, is where the enemy does his most convincing work. And in that gap, the enemy has been whispering one very specific lie. He has been telling you that what is coming has been postponed because of you. He has been replaying one moment over and over in your mind. That moment when you pulled back, when you went quiet instead of fighting, when you stopped pushing and simply let go. And he has been labeling that moment as your biggest failure. He has been convincing you that your silence cost you the very thing you have been believing for. That is the lie. That is the narrative he has been selling you. And if you have been carrying a low-level guilt about that moment, I need you to hear this next part with everything in you. That moment was not your failure. That was your final exam. And you passed. Here is what Scripture actually says about this moment. Nahum 1:9 declares, "What do you conspire against the Lord? He will make an utter end of it. Affliction shall not rise up the second time." Hear that. Affliction shall not rise up the second time. The enemy wants you convinced you are in a cycle. He wants you believing the clock reset and you are starting from zero again. But that is not a cycle you are in. That is a conclusion. The weight you feel is not punishment pressing down. It is finality. It is the pressure of something ending so completely it can never return. It is the last tension in a rope, one breath away from snapping. Every attempt the enemy has made against what God has promised you is being brought to an utter end. Not a temporary end, an utter end. Which means When this breaks, when this releases, the thing that has been fighting you cannot come back. It cannot regroup. It is finished. What you labeled as your moment of failure was not failure at all. It was the finishing move. It was the strategy heaven had been building toward the entire time. You did not disqualify yourself. You did not delay the blessing. You finished it. That restraint, that silence, that decision to walk away instead of engage, was you signing the final document. And the moment you made that choice, you activated the release of what has already been prepared for you. If that just hit your spirit, drop a comment below and just type "final move." Because when you declare it, when you speak it out, you are sealing it. You are putting a stake in the ground that says, "I see what God did in that moment, and I am no longer letting the enemy rewrite the narrative." Your comment is spiritual warfare. Do not skip it. And what is coming is arriving with no warning, no fanfare, no time to get ready. But you do not need to get ready. You are already ready. You already did the work. The preparation happened in the waiting. The positioning happened in the silence. You are not the same person who started this journey. You have been refined. You have been strengthened. You have been positioned. And the version of you that exists right now is the exact version that is equipped to steward what is about to be released. The only thing left is to receive. And readiness is not passive. Readiness is an active spiritual stance. It is the choice to stop rehearsing the delay and start operating from the reality of what has already been decreed. It is waking up tomorrow morning and moving through your day as someone who is in the process of receiving, not someone who is still waiting to be considered. Think about Elijah on Mount Carmel. The land was parched and cracked. 3.5 years of drought had turned fertile ground into dust. The sky was a relentless, mocking blue. There was no weather pattern shift, no hint of moisture in the air. Meteorologically speaking, there was zero evidence that rain was coming. If Elijah had checked the forecast, it would have said clear skies. But before the rain came, before a single cloud appeared in the sky, before there was any physical evidence that anything was changing, Elijah told Ahab to get up and eat because he could hear the sound of abundant rain. He heard it before it existed in the natural. He heard it in the spirit, and that hearing, that spiritual awareness, that ability to perceive in the unseen what had not yet manifested in the seen, was not arrogance. It was alignment. He was not speaking something into existence from nothing. He was agreeing out loud with what heaven had already decided. He was echoing the decree that had already been established. He was not trying to convince God to send rain. God had already decided to send rain. Elijah was simply tuning his spirit to what heaven had already released and declaring it before it arrived. And that is exactly what you have been doing. You have been hearing something in the spirit that your natural eyes have not yet seen. You have been sensing a shift that has not yet manifested in your physical reality. And the enemy has been trying to convince you that what you are hearing is just wishful thinking, just desperation. But it is not. It is prophetic awareness. It is spiritual alignment. You are tuned into a frequency that most people around you cannot even detect. You have been hearing the sound of abundance before the cloud appears. And what you have been hearing is about to become what you are seeing. If you feel that in your spirit right now, leave a comment below and simply type, "I hear it," because your declaration is not just words on a screen, it is a spiritual marker. It is you agreeing out loud with what heaven has already spoken over your life. And when you do that, you are activating something in the unseen realm that accelerates the manifestation. Do not skip this step. Here is where it gets even clearer. Because what has been blocking you is not what you think. It has not been the circumstances. It has not been the people. It has not been the setbacks or the delays or the doors that slammed shut. Those things were real. Those things were painful. But they were not the actual block. The block has been this. You have been believing God for the promise while simultaneously believing that you are the exception to the rule. This is the lie that has held you captive. You believe God does this for people. You believe the testimonies. You believe the scripture. You believe that breakthrough is real and divine favor is real and God moves in supernatural ways. You believe all of it for everyone else. But somewhere deep beneath all that outward faith, there is a quiet hidden agreement that says, "But I am different. My situation is different. My past is different. And because of that difference, I am the asterisk, the exception to the rule." You are the one for whom God's favor has a limitation clause. You are the one who gets close, but not all the way. You are the one who almost sees it happen. But then something always blocks it at the last second. And every time something does not come through on your expected timeline, every time you watch someone else step into what you have been believing for, you take that as confirmation. You take it as proof that you were right about being the exception. And that agreement has been functioning as a spiritual ceiling. It is an invisible barrier just above your head, allowing blessings to circle, allowing favor to approach, but never letting it fully land, not because God agreed with it. He never did. But because you kept signing it, every time you said, "I knew this would not work out for me." Every time you said, "Good things happen to other people, but not to me." You were renewing that contract. But that agreement ends today. That contract is being ripped up right now because you are not the exception. You never were. That was never God's narrative. That was the enemy's lie, and you have been believing it long enough. The reason you are hearing this message right now is because heaven is exposing the lie so you can finally break agreement with it. And the moment you break agreement with the lie, the ceiling shatters, and what has been circling finally lands. Before we go further, I want to pause and say something from my heart. This ministry, this message, this ability to reach you right where you are in your exact moment of need, it exists because of people who decided to sow into what was feeding them. If this word is landing in your spirit right now, if it is filling a gap that nothing else has been able to fill, I want to invite you not out of obligation, but out of overflow to be part of sustaining this work. There is a link in the description where you can support what we are building here. Whether it is $5 or $50, every seed sown allows us to keep creating these messages that reach people at the exact moment they need to hear them. When you give from a place of receiving, when you sow into what is feeding your spirit, you activate the same principle of divine multiplication in your own life. It is not about the amount. It is about the agreement. If you feel that nudge, honor it. Now let me show you something in Scripture that is going to shift everything. Think about Elijah again, but this time after Mount Carmel. He had just called down fire from heaven in front of the entire nation. He had just seen the most dramatic display of God's power in his generation. 450 prophets of Baal were defeated. Rain came after 3.5 years of drought. Elijah was at the peak of his prophetic authority. He had just experienced the biggest breakthrough of his entire ministry. And then Jezebel sent one threat, one message, one promise of death, and Elijah ran. He did not stand his ground. He did not call down fire again. He did not remind himself of what God had just done. He ran. He collapsed under a juniper tree in the middle of the wilderness, completely depleted, and said, "It is enough. Take my life. I am no better than my fathers. I am the only one left, and they are seeking my life. Right in the middle of his greatest victory, right after seeing the most undeniable proof of God's power, Elijah felt like the exception. He felt isolated. He felt like the weight of the entire movement was on his shoulders, and it was too much. He felt like he was the only one still standing for God, while everyone else had abandoned the call. Sound familiar? That feeling that you are the only one who understands, the only one who sees it, the only one still believing when everyone else has moved on. And in that moment of total exhaustion and despair, God did not rebuke him. God did not scold him for his lack of faith. God did not remind him of the fire he had just called down or the rain he had just prophesied. God did not give him a lecture about the importance of standing strong. God fed him. An angel showed up with bread and water, not a sermon, not a rebuke, not a pep talk. Sustenance, nourishment, rest. God let him eat. God let him sleep. God let him recover. And then, after he was nourished and restored, after his strength had returned, God said something that is absolutely critical for you to hear right now. The journey is too great for you. Get up and eat again. The journey ahead, the next phase of what I am calling you into, the level of blessing I am about to release, the doors I am about to open, the favor I am about to pour out. It is too great for the version of you that is running on fumes. It is too great for the version of you that is depleted, exhausted, and operating from a place of isolation. You cannot carry what I am about to give you in your current condition. So eat, receive, be strengthened, be nourished. Let me restore you before I promote you. The journey ahead is too great for the version of you that has been running on fear and the quiet belief that you are the exception to the promise. It is too great for the version of you that is operating from isolation, thinking you are the only one who gets it, the only one still standing, the only one still believing. It is too great for the version of you that has been trying to prove your worth, trying to earn what has already been freely given, trying to manufacture in the natural what can only be received in the spirit. But here is what you need to understand. You are not being asked to step into the next phase with your current strength. You are not being asked to muster up more willpower or work harder, or try to become a better version of yourself before you qualify. You are being asked to receive, to stop striving and start receiving, to let something in that you have been blocking because you did not think you deserved it, to be divinely nourished, restored, and renewed before you attempt to carry the weight of what is coming. This is not about self-effort. This is not about grinding harder, or pushing through, or toughing it out. This is about divine infusion. This is about letting God fill what you have been trying to fill on your own. This is about letting Him heal what you have been trying to manage. This is about letting Him restore what you have been trying to rebuild with your own hands. This is about surrender, not in defeat, but in wisdom. Surrender that says, I cannot do this on my own strength, and I am done pretending I can. This is about letting God feed you in the wilderness before He leads you into the promised land. This is about receiving the strength you need before you are required to steward the blessing you have been asking for. This is about being nourished in private before you are promoted in public. And the receiving, the real receiving, the kind that changes everything. It begins right here in this moment with a decision, and the receiving begins right here in this moment. It begins when you finally stop treating yourself as the exception, when you rip up that hidden agreement and burn it, when you reject the narrative that says you are too flawed, too far behind, too broken, or too late. When you stop disqualifying yourself from what God has already qualified you for, when you stop putting conditions on your worthiness that God never put on it. It begins when you accept that everything God said, every promise he made, every decree he released, every prophetic word he spoke, every vision he downloaded, every dream he planted. He said it to you, not around you, not near you, not in the general vicinity of you, hoping you might overhear it, but directly, personally, intimately to you. You are the intended recipient. You are not an afterthought. You are not plan B. You are not a backup option. You are not a consolation prize. You are the one he has been preparing this for all along. Every closed door was not rejection. It was redirection. Every delay was not denial. It was development. Every no was not punishment. It was protection. Every season of waiting was not wasted time. It was necessary preparation. And now, after everything you have walked through, after everything you have survived, after everything you have overcome, you are standing at the threshold. You are one decision away from stepping through the door that has been open the entire time. The door you could not see because you were looking at the ones that were closed. This is the verdict that has been read over your life in the courts of heaven. This is the decree that has been stamped with divine authority. And now you are hearing it on earth, so that what is bound above can be loosed below, so that the spiritual reality that has already been established can finally manifest in your physical experience. This is the breaking of the spiritual ceiling. This is the opening of the floodgates. The assignment against you is cancelled. Every scheme, every plot, every strategy designed to hinder you, delay you, discourage you, or destroy you is now null and void. The legal ground the enemy was standing on has been removed. The delay has expired. Its season has run its course, and it no longer has permission to operate in your life. The silence has ended. A new sound is emerging. A sound of breakthrough, acceleration, restoration, and multiplication. And what is walking toward you right now has your name on it, not someone else's name, not a blessing that was meant for another person. Your name, as you are right now in this moment, not a future version of you that does not exist yet. You today, you are ready, you are worthy, you are enough. Now place your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. That is the sound of life. That is the sound of purpose that has not been fulfilled yet. And I want you to speak this declaration out loud, not in your head. Out loud, because declarations are not emotional exercises. They are spiritual coordinates. They tell heaven exactly where you are standing and what you are agreeing with. What you are about to speak is not a wish. It is not a prayer asking God to do something he has not already decided to do. It is a declaration of what has already been decreed. It is your agreement with what heaven has already spoken. Speak this now with authority. I am not the exception. I am the one this message was sent to. Every prayer I have prayed in secret has been collected in heaven's courts, and nothing has been wasted. The silence I walked through was not abandonment, it was preparation. The waiting I endured was not punishment, it was positioning. The restraint I showed was not weakness, it was the final move that sealed my breakthrough. I release every agreement that said I was too late. I release every lie that said I was too broken. I release every ceiling I built from disappointment. I step into this season fully without apology, without shrinking, without waiting for permission that has already been given. The door is open, and I walk through it now. What God has declared over my life cannot be reversed. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be delayed beyond this moment. I receive it. All of it, every promise, every blessing, every provision. I am ready and I am enough. The verdict has been read, the decree has been released, and I agree. Amen. If you spoke that out loud, if you felt something shift in your spirit, I need you to do something right now. Leave a comment below and tell me in 1 or 2 words what you are believing for. Do not write your whole story. Just 1 or 2 words: breakthrough, healing, provision, restoration, whatever it is, put it in the comments. Because when you declare it publicly, when you stop hiding what you are believing for, you are removing the power of secrecy. You are joining your faith with everyone else in this community who is standing in the same gap. And there is power in corporate agreement. Do not skip this. Here is what I know about the people who made it to this point. You are not here by accident. You were drawn here. Your spirit recognized something it needed before your mind could even process what was happening. And now that you have received it, you have a choice. You can let this moment dissolve into the noise of your day, or you can let it become a turning point. The people who experience breakthrough are the ones who hear it, receive it, and act on it immediately. So here is your immediate action. First, if you have not already, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Not because I need the numbers, but because you need the reminders. You need these words hitting your spirit on a regular basis until the thing you are believing for fully manifests. Second, share this video with someone you know exactly who I am talking about. That person who is in their own gap right now, that person who thinks they are the exception. Send it to them now, because they did not find it on their own, but they will receive it from you. Third, go back and watch this again tomorrow morning. Let it be the first thing that hits your spirit when you wake up. Let it set the tone for your day before the enemy has a chance to reintroduce the lie. Repetition is how truth gets rooted. Repetition is how lies get uprooted. The verdict has been read, the decree has been released, the assignment is cancelled, and what is coming has already left heaven's throne room, and it is headed directly to you. Do not let doubt intercept it. Do not let fear make you miss it. Do not let the enemy convince you that you are still waiting when you are actually already in the beginning stages of receiving. It is done. It is finished. Walk in that truth starting right now. If this message reached you at the exact right time, if it felt like it was written specifically for your situation, hit that like button so the algorithm pushes this to more people who need to hear it. And drop a comment, even if it is just 1 word, received, amen. Yes, because that simple act is you staking your claim. It is you saying out loud, I was here when everything shifted, and I am not leaving the same way I came. The door is open. Walk through it.